Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We sincerely apologize about the delay. Coming up next on tonight's installment of Speed Gaming Events, we have a match scheduled for the Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer 2020 tournament right here, right now. I'm Teeks88, and I'm happy to be here with you behind the mic once again. Tonight's match will be between magooisadorable and jkoper. Interesting to note, both players participated in the SMB3 Randomizer Tournament last year, which too was hosted by SpeedGaming. So we're glad to see they've each made their return to the scene for the 2020 installment. magooisadorable has since completed 2 of his 3 matches for the round-robin portion of the tournament, and will be closing out his races in Group G after this race tonight. This, however, will be jkoper's first race in the round-robin. And so he will later be scheduled to race against Paradox64 and Warpless, both of who are in that respective group. So I do believe we're in the process of setting up, so please hang tightly and we'll be starting shortly. So in the meantime, as you may know, both players will start off by racing Group 1 flag sets. Therefore, world order will remain the same as vanilla SMB3. Most levels will remain within their respective worlds, but shuffled relative to where their locations would ordinarily be on the map. So levels like 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, they'll all likely be in World 1, but their panels will all be in different locations. You may see some uncommon exceptions like 7-9 showing up in World 6, but it's mainly meant to accommodate the fact that the number of forts you'll find in each world is randomized as well. So levels will get swapped around to fill in those gaps. So it looks like both of our races are off, and we're starting off with level 1-3. So they both open the wooden block, and they get a star for their efforts. So we'll see if either of our races are going to go for the item behind the white block. Magoo is just going to charge through, and jkoper is going to see what item will be in the background. First one out of 1-3, and we'll see what he decides to do next. He'll be doing the fort. It's a Tanuki suit. That'll definitely be helpful for him as he comes up on the fort on next, should he decide to pick up the item. Probably not the most advisable, considering if he grabs the item, then it won't break the lock, so he'll have to do extra levels to work around it. So yeah, just as suspected, jkoper is going to hold on to that Tanuki suit, and he's just going to push through with the mushroom power-up. Takes a little bit of damage along the way, but he makes it through there pretty decently. Oh, and he gets chipped by that hotfoot. magooisadorable, meanwhile, takes a slightly early lead. So he makes easy work of Boom Boom. So jkoper is doing a restart on the World 1 fort, and up next we have level 1-1. So, all right, we have a star, so it would be a good opportunity just to charge through before it has the invincibility has a chance to expire. Oh, and he gets caught by that spiny as he was trying to go for that power-up underneath those wooden blocks. Just a minor setback, just a couple seconds, so there's still an opportunity for jkoper to catch up. So he's going to try again with the star. We'll see if he has if he fares a little bit better this time around, which he does. Gets around that spiny, no problem. Gets the power up along the way, and jkoper is going to be the first one to fight the first Hammer Bro in the seed, and it's going to be a music box. All right, so up next we have 1-6. So normally in the vanilla strategy for SMB3 would just be to build P-Speed on the 2 wooden platforms towards the end of the level, and that would ordinarily give you an opportunity to build some P-Speed in order to boost off one of the Koopas in midair. But due to the nature of randomizer, the enemies are going to be shuffled, so you're not really going to have that luxury this time around. So it's definitely going to be wiser if you don't have a raccoon tail to fly to just take the pedestrian route with the floating platform and then just make your way to the exit. While jkoper picked up a fire flower along the way, so he'll have a nice little advantage going into the airship. He's going to follow suit, and he's going to fight those Hammer Bros, and he's going to pick up a music box as well. Right, so we're pretty much neck and neck right now. They're only both of our races are only a couple seconds apart. Magooisadorable is going to take a bit of a pit stop, grab the star, so he'll be able to coast through those bullet bills and cannonballs, and we'll see how many hits it takes to knock out Boom Boom. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Better. So Magoo's going to be the first one going into World 2, so we'll see what the map layout has in store for us and what both of our races will be playing first. So with any luck, both of our races will be able to encounter a pipe early on in the map that'll take them to that'll give them an opportunity to skip over as many levels as they can, so they can have a nice quick shortcut to the airship. Unfortunately, they won't have any hammers in their inventory at the moment. Looks like they picked up a frog suit from Peach's letter. So, all right, so it's going to be a pretty linear path. So they're both going to be starting off with 2-1, pretty much par for the course in vanilla SMB3 as well. Gets a little bit caught by cornered in by that Paragoomba right there. But jkoper has no problem with that. He picks up another Fire Flower, so he has a nice little advantage going into World 2. Magoo's still having a little bit of issues with the Sheeps and the Paragoombas as well, once again. So it looks like there was a bit of a miscalculated jump. I don't think jkoper meant to damage boost and lose his Fire Flower just now, but he is able to maintain P-Speed, and he gets to the end of the level card. Magoo's going to flee, and honestly, I can't blame him considering the, just the... the way the Cheeps is just really on his tail. So jkoper gets his first set of 80,000 points, and he unlocks the end spade card. Didn't get any matches this time, but he was able to garner some information for the next time the cycle comes around. So he'll be the first one going into the World 2 Fortress. Gonna be a little bit careful here, especially with those boos just right on his tail. All right. Meanwhile, Magoo has much better luck with the end spade game. He gets a pair of stars right out of the gate, so it'll be interesting to see what item he picked up from there. Wasn't able to catch it just now. All right, so both of our players are both in the fortress. Magoo's giving it his best effort to catch up to jkoper right now. Well, he takes a little bit of damage, but he still has a nice clear path to get over that moving bed of spikes. So he'll be the first one going into Boom Boom. Two and 3, and he's down. Magooisadorable following suit. So they're both pretty much on the same screen. It's still very much neck and neck. Right, so up next, we're going to have 6F2. So unfortunately, jkoper doesn't have a leaf that would allow him to just fly through the underpass to get a nice little shortcut, and doesn't look like Magoo's going to take advantage of that tail to do any flying. He's going to take a bit of a safer way. Both have secondary power-up, so just in case, heaven forbid, any of them take any damage, they'll be in pretty good shape, making their way past the Thwumps and the Rotodiscs. So they're pretty much Boom Boom roughly the same time. So 1, 2, and 3, and Boom Boom is down. All right, up next we have level 2-5, so consistent with vanilla SMB3, the Chain Chomps are going to be in their same consistent spot. Magoo is going to get the first pass at the Hammer Bro fight. Picks up a hammer that'll definitely come in handy. So, as you may recall, hammers have the ability to break locks and boulders on the overworld map. So he's going to skip a couple levels along the way, so he'll be the first one going into the World 2 Fortress. So he has a momentary lead right now, so we'll see as soon as jkoper, should he decide to get the hammer himself, if he's going to use it now to stay just on the same pace as Magoo, or he's going to hold on to it for another world. Unfortunately, it looks like Magoo was only able to skip over one level that he would otherwise have to play, because he had a pretty clear path otherwise, especially since those pipes didn't obstruct his path. So that probably would have been a better opportunity to get through the some of the awkward pathways that World 3 or World 6 can yield. But we'll see how it plays out in the long run. Maybe he's able to maintain his lead. Right, so right out of the gate, we have level 3-4, one of the more straightforward levels in World 3 altogether. Yeah, thankfully, you won't have to do any swimming in this section, just as long as he's able to get past that first gap, which he's able to do. He's not going to go for the star, not really necessary since there's not really much that could potentially put you in danger aside from Lakitu. But as long as you're not stopping and slowing down for any reason, it'll be just a walk in the park. Meanwhile, jkoper's having a really rough pattern with those that hammer bro fight, just having 2 boomerang bro fights in shallow water as Small Mario. I hate to see it. So he's going to take another pass at that. Meanwhile, Magoo was able to get 3 pairs altogether for the end-speed game. He's doing a really good job with that. So we'll see what items he has. I saw a Music Box Frog suit and a Tanuki suit, if I remember correctly. And unfortunately, jkoper gets a game over. But yeah, and it looks like box that he had broken with those 2 fortresses will remain broken, but it's going to set him back for a good amount of time. So in the meantime, Magoo has a pretty substantial lead right now. He's making his way through 3-1. And nothing in his way causing him any issues. He's going to take the 3 stars in a row right here. Just grabbing that last card with P-Speed. So he gets a 5-up. It only costs him 4 seconds, but it's a nice insurance policy in case anything should give him any issues later down the road. With Randomizer, you just never know what can happen. So Magoo, unfortunately, doesn't have his hammer that he got in World 2 in order to break that lock. So he's going to be having to play a little bit of musical forts in order to see which one will let him pass. Looks like the first fort up is going to be 6F3. So yeah, he wasn't able to get P-Speed right out of the gate, so he's going to have a little bit of trouble trying to dodge some of the obstacles in his way, like those roto discs and dwumps, and some of those stretch boos on those white flat platforms. Ooh, and he gets a little bit caught by that roto disc. That's another interesting thing about Randomizer. Those roto discs, otherwise known as the waffles or the disco balls, sometimes they can reverse trajectory. So if you encounter some roto discs that would ordinarily move clockwise in vanilla SMB3, sometimes in Randomizer they can be reverse clockwise. Just to get caught up by that, which he does again, unfortunately. jkoper is making some pretty good progress through World 2 once again, and he's going to follow suit, getting the 3 stars in a row, so he'll get a 5-up as well. So definitely not a bad idea at this point. So only just a couple levels behind, considering the issues that Magoo is having in 6F3. But unfortunately, it looks like he's having a pretty rough pattern with those boomerang bro fights. So he's going to use a star, just kind of jet right through there, and not have to worry about any of those boomerangs getting in his way. So he's going to pick up the hammer, and that's going to definitely serve him well going into World 3. So I wouldn't count jkoper out yet. He's still very much within striking distance in this race. So he has a nice P-Speed start going into the World 2 Fortress, but he's not going to take advantage of that P-Speed to fly over the mast of the ship. So he's just going to go under and over and into the Morton fight. So let's see. 1 stomp. 2. 3. Morton's a 3-hitter. So very nicely done. He'll be joining Magoo's Adorable in World 3 very shortly. Meanwhile, Magoo's making his way through the World 3 airship. So we'll see how he fares against Wendy Koopa. He doesn't have a Fire Flower equipped to get a nice convenient kill on her. So we'll, for his sake, we'll hope that Wendy ends up being a one-hitter, because it's definitely not a fun position to be in, especially a small Mario. Ooh, and looks like Wendy has some Michael Jordan strats going in there with those really high jumps. So, yeah, definitely not a bad idea to go in with a secondary power-up, just in case he takes any more damage in any of the future fights. So he'll have an opportunity to grab another power-up here. So we'll see if he decides to go for it, which he doesn't. He's just going to brave it out with Wendy, and hopefully he'll have better luck this time around. jkoper, just making his way out of the drink, so he's going to, just start building that P-speed as soon as he can, and then he'll be out of 3-4 very shortly. Ooh, but Lakitu's just being a jerk as usual. Just get caught by that spine and going down that hill. All right, so Magoo's going to be the first one going out of World 4. So once again, we'll see what the map layout has in store for our racers. They could just take the first pipe and then go straight to where the bridge is to start building that airship. Maybe they'll have to do some digging around to find the fort that they need. Who knows? So jkoper is having a little bit more luck with the end speed game. Really doing a good job just building some of those pairs. So it's good to. Is he going to complete the? Oh, he's able to complete the whole set. Very nicely done. Right, so I'm actually curious to see what if he was able to pick up any clouds or hammers or hammer suits. So that'll definitely give him a good advantage going into some of the future worlds. And if he's knowledgeable about some of the levels that are coming up, if he looks at at the panels as he's making his way through, it'll give him a lot more options to strategize how he's going to maneuver some of the level layouts and some of the enemies that may come up later on. All right, so we're doing a little bit of pipe surfing on jkoper's side. So once again, he does have that hammer that he has stored up from World 2. So if he gets to the lock where the airship is, he'll be able to take advantage of that. And it looks like, much better use of that hammer. So he'll be going into the Wendy Koopa fight as well. So yeah, this is a really good opportunity for jkoper to catch up at the moment. So looks like Magoo is Adorable still has 3 Hammer Bro fights on the World 4 map. So we'll see what item drops he'll have in store. He has a bit of a limited inventory right now, so now would be a really good opportunity to start accumulating some items for some of the future levels. So first off, we have a P-Wing. And what do we have next? I'm going to use the music box temporarily, so if he goes through 4-2, that'll give him a good opportunity to pick up a power-up along the way. So maybe maybe he's just banking on being better equipped at the end of the level to do some of those levels coming up next. Yeah, sometimes that pipe can be a little finicky as you're making your way out there. Don't want to stay there too long because it's very easy to get sniped by that cheap. Right, so first fortress we'll have in World 4 is 4F1. So this is going to be a little tricky to maneuver, especially a small Mario, because you have some really tight jumps to get past the hot foot in some of those narrow passageways. And sometimes if you're not running with P-speed, or sometimes if you do, it's very easy to get hit in the head by some of the dry bones or boos that can drop down. From where the hot foot candles would usually be in vanilla. So looks like Magoo was originally opting to take the lower path in the pipe section, but this time he's going to go the upper path, which is actually a little bit faster. So yeah, he's not very far away from Boom Boom right now. So he has a nice opportunity to get a power up. He's going to take a little bit of time with the with the horizontal moving thwomp, and he's going to reach Boom Boom right now. Meanwhile, jkoper's in 4-6. Definitely one of the tougher levels to tough out in Randomizer, especially since just the Power Goomba floating over, just trying to lock Mario down with the minis, and the Angry Sun just looming over, and he gets sniped by the Power Goomba just right at the last minute. Very unfortunate. And magooisadorable is having a little bit of issues with the Fire Bros. Once again, it's not very fun having to fare with either of those Fire Bros like 2 at a time, especially when you're small. So he's going to pick up a star here. So jkoper is making his way through 4-1. Pretty close to the end of the stage right now, so boss pass is not going to be an issue. Meanwhile, we have Magoo was able to unlock the bridge that got him to the World 4 airship. So there's generally 2 fast strategies that you can do to get through the World 4 airship. One of which is to use the tail just to glide over some of those broad gaps that would ordinarily be difficult to cross. You can just kind of flutter your way past there. Alternatively, you could start building P-speed right in the beginning of the level, and then just kind of take advantage of the extra distance that you build with the additional speed, and then just go right past some of those jet flames. So magooisadorable makes easy work of Iggy. jkoper is maybe 2 or 3 levels behind right now, but once again, he still does have a good opportunity to catch up. Made some really good progress just by being able to get that shortcut in World 3. So, yeah, we still have 5 more worlds ahead of us. I mean, 4 more. So, yeah, World 5 is going to be next. We have a pipe right out of the gate, so will it take us to Sky World? And it does. But I don't think that Magoo has a hammer in his inventory, so he's going to have to do a little bit of backtracking to get to that fort, and then see if that's going to be the one that does the trick. jkoper's making his way through 4F1, taking what would be a safe path, and be a little bit more careful around where the hot foot is. Those 2 invisible blocks, and he'll be on his way to Boom Boom very shortly. All right, up next we have 5-5. So this is going to be, the donut bridge level. There's at least 3 actually 2 power-ups where Magoo or jkoper can pretty much get an alternative item should they be inclined. It doesn't look like Magoo's going to go for it. He's just going to build a P-speed and just power the way through. Alright, so jkoper's making his way through the World 4 airship, so he'll be joining Magoo in World 5 very shortly. And if all goes well, the blue fort will be the one to unlock the blue lock. Makes easy work of that Hammer Pro fight, and he gets a star for his efforts. So he's going to go for the power-up right at the end of the World 4 airship. Definitely not a bad idea, especially considering how finicky Iggy's hitbox can notoriously be. It looks to be a 3-hitter, very nicely done. Alright, so Magoo is in 5F2 right now, so this is one of those levels where it's very consistent with the P-speed strats that you would normally encounter in vanilla. So as long as you build that P-speed going onto those 4 platforms right away in the second room, you'll be able to make easy work of some of the Podoboos, that can appear below and above you. So it's definitely not one of those levels where you want to slow down. It's very easy just to get tricked if you're not too conscientious about the the cycle in which they pop up out of the lava. So magooisadorable found the lock that opened the way to the World 5 airship, so he's going to be facing away shortly. jkoper, yeah, it's pretty much neck and neck with Magoo right now. Do enjoy that momentary sync, and we'll see both of our racers entering World 6 very shortly. Couldn't tell if that was a two-hitter or jkoper was actually able to get the fire kill on Roy, but very nicely done, both of them. They're only a couple seconds apart now. Really impressive turn of events, I must say. Okay, yeah, that definitely looked to be a two-hitter. I think that maybe jkoper still had 1 or 2 fireballs left before he was able to get the fire kill that way. Right, so our first panel, so our first level is going to be level 3-8. So this time we don't have Boss Bass chasing Small Mario, but the Cheep Cheep can be just as dangerous if he's not careful with his swimming. He gets through there, no problem. Very nicely done, both of our racers. All right, so moving on, jkoper is going to be doing some quick pipe checking to see if he'll have any convenient shortcuts to get to the end of the level. And, you know, pretty much typical, pretty much par for the course. It doesn't lead anywhere. It's just a dead end right behind the rock. So they're going to have to take a little bit more of a linear path to get from beginning to end. So Magoo has a hammer. He's going to take advantage of it to get past the first half of the map. So hopefully he's not going to have a lock or a bridge obstructing his path in order to get to the airship. jkoper has his hammer. He's going to break it, and now, yeah, they're still pretty much neck and neck right now, making their way through 6-3. So, yeah, in Randomizer, this is going to be a pretty tough level if you wanted to optimize it with P-Speed, so I definitely wouldn't recommend it. Probably the best course of action would just be to do the straightforward platforming. Looks like Magoo had no problem doing, and jkoper not too far behind. All right, 6-2. Oh, this is going to be 2-2, so we have another level swap between two worlds. So this is going to be the Oasis level that you would normally encounter in World 2. We have a couple enemy swaps that make it a little bit trickier than you would ordinarily encounter. So I'm going to have the luxury of some flying Koopas to boost off of, but still able to make it through the raft pretty much unharmed. Thankfully, this is going to be a Big Bertha in the lake rather than a Boss Bass, so he doesn't have to worry about it respawning right in his face. So both our racers are only a couple seconds apart going to the World 6 airship. So we'll see how many hits it takes to knock out Lemmy. Magoo's going to have an opportunity to grab another power-up right before he enters the pipe. It looks to be a star. Probably not what he was looking for, especially since he's pretty much right at the ship without anything putting him in immediate danger. So we have 1 hit, 2, 3. So Lemmy Koopa is going to be a 4-hitter. The interesting thing about Lemmy Koopa is, regardless of whether you're playing vanilla SMB3 or randomizer, Lemmy pretty much behaves the same way every time you fight him. He's just going to stand up against the right wall for a couple seconds before he starts moving around. So you want to start keeping rhythm with the way you stomp on his head, and then just get those green balls out of the way by stomping on those as well. Otherwise, if you stall too long, he'll start moving around, and with everything just flying around in the air, things can get pretty ugly pretty quickly. So he took a little damage, but he gets through there no problem. So with any hope, World 7 will offer a linear path with the pipe warps. They don't have to do too much digging around to get to any fort. that would be necessary to unlock anything. So Magoo makes his way to the Eastern Islands, so he's going to knock out those levels right away because he knows he's going to have to play them. I don't think he has any clouds at any rate in order to skip any of the them. So he's going to take the pedestrian route through 7-9, and it looks like he's generating a little bit of lag, especially with some of the enemies that are pretty much overloading. So sometimes that could delay your ability to grab the white block to throw it at them. jkoper tried to go for the wall clip in 7-1. He did a couple attempts, but I couldn't tell if he accidentally entered the doorway or he just intentionally gave up and just decided to go the straightforward route. If jkoper got a cloud, it would definitely come in use for World 7, but I couldn't tell what he got in his inventory after he completed the end spade game. So jkoper pretty much makes it through the end of 7-1, no problem. He's just gonna have to watch out for that Paragoomba. Looks like he got momentarily clipped into one of those platforms. All right, so what's going to be the next course of action for Magoo? He used this anchor, which ends up being a wild card in SMB3 Randomizer, so it turned out to be a cloud. But unfortunately, he can't use it to skip over any of the piranha levels. Otherwise, he would either have to screen wrap it from the left-hand side of the screen or use the music box to knock it out. So probably the next course of action would be to use the star and then make his way past those moving piranhas. Interesting to note about those piranhas that go in and out of the little ones that go out of the little pipes. They operate on a global timer. So if you feel like you're about to jump and be in immediate danger of getting hit by one of them, there is an opportunity to take advantage of pause strats in order to clear a path for yourself. Didn't look like Magoo had to do that though, so both of our races are going to be in 7F2, aka Piranha Fort. So Magoo, he got the mushroom power up right in the beginning, so he's gonna want to be a little more careful around the thwomp and the fire piranha here. And it looks like he got some bad luck with that snipe. jkoper is taking a bit of a slower but safe route, just using the P-wing to get past some of the obstacles. Looks like Magoo's taking a pretty similar route. Both of them are equipped with tails to do some fluttering to make easy work of some of those lava sections. jkoper opts to do a little bit of a damage boost in the second room, and he's very much successful with that. So 1, 2, 3, and Boom Boom is going to be out. So it's pretty much still too early to say who's in the lead right now, considering the differences in their items and who gets to the airship first. But it's still very much neck and neck as far as I can tell. Alright, so jkoper is going to be taking a pass at 7-9. Let's see if he has any luck with the enemy spawns here. He has his tail going into here, so if he decides to go for any P-speed strats, it would be a good opportunity to do a little bit of damage boosting to start generating some speed. But it looks like he's going to do some flutter strats to make his way past the white blocks and take a straightforward route through the maze. Honestly, don't blame him, since alternatively you could do wall clips, but considering you don't know what's down below, sometimes it's much easier said than done. So he's not going to stop for any power-ups, he's just going to keep moving forward, and he's out of here. So it looks like Magoo picks up a hammer from that piranha, but not really many more places in the randomizer seed where you can really make use of it. Although you do have one more opportunity in World 8 in case you want to open up some paths for yourself to play some of the fort levels in World 8 as you're navigating through World 8's many map screens. World 8, the great equalizer for nothing. So we'll see how both of our racers fare through the through that gauntlet, so to speak. So still very much anyone's game. They're pretty much on the finishing up Lemon Koopa at the same time. This has been a really exciting race so far. So yeah, really got to tip my hat to both of these players. So they're pretty much really doing a good job here. All right, so 33 minutes on the clock as they're going into World 8. So a typical World 8 will probably take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how generous the locks and the pipe warps decide to be. So they're both very much on pace between probably 37 to 39 minute seed. Although I could be wrong, we'll see. So they're going to be playing the first hand trap that you would normally encounter in vanilla SMB3. And they pick up a hammer for their trouble. So they have 2 opportunities to break locks to make some of the navigation easier for themselves. So they're pretty much cornered in the dark room and with locks on pretty much every corner. So we'll see if he's going to break any locks, which jkoper does. So it looks like he unlocked a hand trap, which doesn't do him any favors. But he gets a pipe warp. jkoper is going to be the first one going into Super Tank, so we'll see what that decides to unlock. jkoper doing some trial and error, seeing if he can do a little bit of a workaround to get to some of those tanks and forts without having to play additional levels like 8-2 and 8-1. Magoo is going to opt to do the Air Force once again with autoscroll is disabled. So as long as he keeps rhythm with his platform jumping, he can knock out the rocky wrenches and still continue moving forward without having much time to stop and delay. And we have jkoper in the Navy. I regret to say I'm not going to sing In the Navy for you. Alright, so Magoo finishes up the Air Force. 1, 2, and 3, and Boom Boom is down. All right, so they're both going to do a little bit of pipe checking from here on out. So we'll see what our racers plan to do next. Oh, and jkoper forgot about that hand trap that he unlocked, so going to see if he actually decides to play it, and which it seems he is. So this is the third hand trap that you would encounter in vanilla. So yeah, he got a little bit caught with the rhythm of his jumps due to that fluttering. Meanwhile, Magoo found the solution, so he's going to be the first one going into Bowser's Castle. He doesn't have a hammer suit in his inventory, as far as I know, so he's just going to tough it out with the Tanuki suit. He still has another opportunity to pick up a Fire Flower once he gets past the first set of donuts coming up in this room. So we'll just see if he decides to do that, or if he's just going to take the straightforward route through the top, and then make his way over to Bowser. Looks like he's going to opt to get that power-up. Oh, no, he's going to take the lower route. Okay. So once again, he's still going to have another opportunity for that power-up. But he's going to want to be a little careful with those Podoboos and statues along the way. All right, so we'll see what's in that power-up right here. And it's going to be a Fire Flower, so this is that laser on that statue. Very nicely done. All right, so interesting to note about taking the lower route. One of the advantages of taking that path is that the fireballs aren't randomized. It's still consistent with vanilla. But unfortunately, he still took a hit from Bowser's Fireball. So he's going to still take the traditional way of just knocking out Bowser by breaking open the floor. So jkoper's making his way through the tank that doesn't unlock anything. So he will be playing an extra stage. gets a hammer for his trouble, but he already had 2 hammers going into World 8, so I'm not really sure it's really going to do much for him at this point. But he does find Bowser's Castle, and he's going to make his way over there ASAP. So he's going to charge in there with the Tanuki suit as well. Meanwhile, magooisadorable finishes up Bowser. Get your GZs out, ladies and gentlemen. magooisadorable finishes up. And Magoo has an official SRL time of 38:31. Very nicely done. And it looks like jkoper took a death in Bowser's Castle just now. So he still has a lot of items in his inventory, so probably the next best option would be to just tough it out with another Tanuki suit. So once again, he'll still have another opportunity to switch into another power-up in case he decides to go for the fire kill. He tried to use the anchor as a wild card, hoping it would probably be a hammer suit or a fire flower of some sort, but he's pretty much at the end of the game now, so that cloud wasn't going to do him any favors. So he doesn't go for the power-up, he's still going to do the top route, so once again, the statues are going to be randomizing which ones shoot lasers. So I don't know if jkoper was familiar with the randomized fireballs, but it looks like he's getting some pretty decent patterns along the way. Ooh, and he miscalculated a jump and takes another death in the lava. Once again, he still has another Tanuki suit in his inventory, so alright, well... It's also interesting to note, you know, as you're reaching that top of the elevator, it's a good idea to try and go for a clip in most cases, because you do save a little bit of time if you can clip to the top of the stairs, because the rotor discs can have randomized trajectories that can kind of slow you down as you're trying to making sure that nothing is in your way, especially if you're trying to hold onto a hammer suit of some sort. So he loses his power-ups along the way, but he gets through the donut room at last. So hello, Bowser. So he's going to have to take the straightforward route to break those floors. So, interesting to note about Bowser, his hitbox is going to be located on half of his head. So as long as he stays low to the ground and just make sure he's conscientious of where he's standing underneath Bowser, so he doesn't get hit by fireballs, he's pretty much safe. Generally advisable to go into the Bowser fight with a hammer suit or a fire flower, because the difference between doing the fire over the hammer or vice versa, but it takes about 40 to 45 seconds if you're just doing a straightforward one of the straightforward you know, floor breaking strat. So ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs out for jkoper. He'll be finishing up with an SRL time of both of these gentlemen were very, very close for the majority of the Group 1 seed. They were pretty much neck and neck, they were just trading leads back and forth over the course of Worlds 1 through 7. But once again, World 8 proves itself to be the great equalizer. So due to some differences in routing, they both had a pretty substantial amount of hammers to take different routes. But Magoo was able to just barely edge out jkoper by finding the solution to Bowser's Castle a little bit sooner. So we'll definitely be looking forward to seeing how both these runners fare going into the Group 2 flag set. So they'll be taking a moment to be getting set up for the next race. So do stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the SMB3 Randomizer Tournament 2020, a race between magooisadorable and jkoper. Just moments ago, we saw an impressive flag set race between both of our racers, and despite some of the differences in their routing and just some of the differences in how they approach some of the Hammer Bro fights and some of the levels, they still, for the most part, stayed neck and neck between one another. Between Worlds 1 through 7, but once again, the World 8 ended up being a great equalizer between the both of them, so that allowed magooisadorable to take a pretty substantial lead going into Bowser's Castle. But unfortunately, it looks like magooisadorable had a bit of some hardware issues, so I regret to inform everybody that there's going to be a postponement on the second match with the flag set 2. But in the meantime, I was hoping we could close things out by having an interview between both of our racers. So I'm joined just now by magooisadorable and jkoper. GG's to both of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure watching this race and being able to commentate alongside this. Just as I was mentioning before, you guys stayed pretty close to each other, like neck and neck, just trading leads. There were a couple instances where you were actually synced up going out of some of those Koopaling fights. I know magooisadorable, you used your hammer early in World 2, so you had a bit of an early lead, but you had to play a little bit of the musical forts going towards the end of World 3. jkoper, I know you had some issues with some of the Hammer Bro fights that caused you to get a game over, but you were able to use your hammer in a strategic way in World 3 that allowed you to catch up pretty quickly and pretty much stay in the game. So, did you guys have any other initial thoughts?
That Hammer Brother thing was complete nonsense, and I was just helpless. Basically, I would have had to do something amazing to fix that. So what happened for Magoo? Partially my fault for dying the first time into that fight, because I had a feather, so I had 2 hits I could have taken, and I shouldn't have died. But then I died, and because I got the second Hammer Brother encounter right on top of the first one, I was not moving after dying, so the Hammer Brother kept spawning on top of me. And it was 2 Boomerang Brothers on top of water. So yeah, good luck trying to fight that as small Mario and with no chance to use any power-ups.
Absolutely, that's some pretty rough RNG. I know that a couple individuals in chat were pointing that out as well. That was a really tough situation to be in when the Hammer Bros just kind of overlap you like that, and after taking death, you just have no way of getting out of it the way you would in a normal level where you just get booted a couple spaces back. Yeah, and especially when you're having to contend with two Fire Bro fights as small Mario, it's not really an easy way to get out of that unless you're being really aggressive and get really lucky that you don't get caught by one of their jump cycles.
Yeah, for real. Like that is just, that's just bad news all around. A lot of those Hammer Brother fights are like that, where you just kind of go in and yeah, you take what you get, but like water with anything is terrible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like even when I'm Big Mario going into some of those water fights, I have a really bad habit of just trying to do a duck jump just so I can shorten my hitbox and make sure that I'm getting right on top of their head. But sometimes I realize that at the a little too late that it just kind of triggers the swim animation, so I just end up drifting right into their hitbox. So yeah, that's something also to be pretty conscientious about.
Oh sure, yeah.
Yeah, despite a couple rocky incidences happening between Worlds 2 and 3, you guys were very much trading the leads like level for level.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks like you both did a really fantastic job matching some of the end spade card games. I think jkoper, you were able to complete a full set. So you both accumulated a good amount of hammers by the time we got to World 6 and 7. So you both navigated through the World 6 map pretty easily, just using the pipe warp to get through the first half of the map, and then just breaking a luck just to get straight to the airship.
I don't know if any hammers are coming out of the end spade.
The thing about the end spade is, even though you're matching pairs of cards, the contents of the card isn't necessarily indicative of what item you're going to get. So,
I'm aware of that. I don't know. I guess if any hammers came out of it, it was one at most.
Okay.
I don't think that there were any actually in the card. I don't recall seeing one at all. I also completed a card. I don't think there was any hammers in the card. They were all on the bros.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it was getting a little bit hard to catch up between what items you got from the bros and which ones from the end spade. But yeah, to your point, I think you might have still at least gotten at least one of them from the end spade game, nonetheless. But it ended up being just enough to get you through that World 6, and you guys both accumulated a bunch of those hammers coming out of World 7, so that helped you a lot, just navigating your way through World 8.
Yeah, it was really funny. Like in my World 8, where I had like hammer on both sides, and it didn't go, and I just saw something, and I was like, "Oh, hammer!" And it went nowhere. But
I noticed when you both were in the dark room, there was one section, I think, in the upper right corner where you were just surrounded by 3 locks. So you kind of got sandwiched in. So you kind of had your options just to, just start burning through them, or do some pipe checks to see if you can skip over some of the 8-1 or 8-2 panels.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think there were any bridges in World 8. I think that I might have taken the absolute last pipe toward the end section. It would have saved several minutes to go down after taking that first pipe and then use the hammer there and check that pipe. But I made a play. I figured that was not going to be the answer. I thought it was going to be some sort of chain reaction, and yeah, it was just that pipe right there. Could have been like less than 2-minute World 9 or World 8. I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing that always happens to you in World 8, where like you think that you have the idea, and you kind of like either you do or you don't, and sometimes you don't, and that happens to you. And yeah, that's this stupid game that we play.
Yeah, that's just the nature of randomizer. They don't call World 8 the great equalizer for nothing. Once again, the match was both. You both had the opportunity to win that match. But yeah, just differences in routing is ultimately what made the difference. So magooisadorable, you were pretty much 1 or 2 levels ahead going to Valley of Bowser. I don't believe there was any bridges that you had to build. So I believe when you both got to that onto that screen, you both completed enough levels where you just had a clear path to just run right through.
Cool. Yeah.
So did either of you have any final thoughts?
My final thought was that I'm about to buy a new compact flash reader right now, because every compact flash reader outside of the one in the power pack is absolute trash. And the one on my computer, like the pins are so bent that I could not get it to actually put the card on there. And that's why we're not playing this match right now. And I hate that. I really wanted to do Flags 2 right now with jkoper, but like I can't. And so yeah, that's my final thought with that. But
yeah, it's definitely a shame that just certain things like hardware issues just are out of your control, especially when you're you're in the middle of a time where you really need it most. So you just have one more randomizer seat with jkoper before you close out your matches in Group G. So is there anything specific that you wanted to work on as you're as you get everything set up to go into Flag Set 2?
Oh, just being better. Yeah, just playing better. That's all. That's all you can do. That's all I can ask for. So yeah, sure.
All right, excellent. jkoper, do you, I'll relay that same question to you. Is there anything specific that you were hoping to work on? I know that you still have 2 more matches with, I believe, Europsilis and Paradox 64.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty happy with how this went in general. Other than some silly deaths that ended up costing me 5+ minutes. Yeah, no, I just want to get this taken care of, so it's something that I don't have to worry about anymore.
Okay, absolutely. I totally understand. So
you're talking about like it's homework.
It's just an obligation.
Understandable. So
it's
yeah,
fun, right? Like you have fun doing this, right?
Yeah, it's interesting.
But I understand what he's getting at. When you don't really want to bog yourself down with too many obligations in terms of scheduling, so it's just better to knock everything else at once if the opportunity presents itself. So yeah, just in closing, GG's to both of our racers. Do be sure to give them both a follow. They did a fantastic job in this randomizer tournament thus far. So we have one more race coming up tonight on SpeedGaming 2, right on this very same channel, and that's going to be at 9 p.m. and it's going to be between Riker Rider and DLP316. And behind the mic, doing commentary will be Cyclone and Sharky 2107. So do stay tuned shortly. You're not going to want to miss it. So yeah, once again, shout outs to ProA007 for organizing the SMB3 Randomizer Tournament and to SpeedGaming for being a wonderful host. I'm Teeks88, signing out, and I look forward to seeing more matches as the tournament chugs on over the course of this week. So have a good night, everybody.
Indeed.